Pre-season is almost over and the Game Week 1 deadline is just around the corner. It's time to put the finishing touches to our Game Week 1 teams. Right, guys, welcome back. This is the Above Average FPL podcast. My name's Adam, and as always, joined by Baker. Evening, mate. How are you?
I can see you laughing.
I'm already laughing.
Laughing.
This is take two.
This is take two. What we recorded 10 hours ago.
Yeah.
You went out and played golf. So,
Yep.
And as anybody who watches this pod knows, we're completely reliant on you to do anything. So, so we didn't get the pod straight out.
Yeah.
And I've made at least half a dozen changes based just off the fact of Oscar Bobb getting injured.
Perfect.
I mean, do you think that meant that my team wasn't flexible enough in the first place?
Well, it probably wasn't. I mean, and I think that's what you said earlier as well. You were like, it was a team of like, if it goes well, this is great. But if something goes wrong, then it could require surgery, which is exactly what's happened. So we're here again. It's our Game Week 1 team selections, and we're going to go through it all over again. So we've got the Rob T graphics. We've got talk about
our
fixtures.
Teams.
We've got our teams, and we are now less than, at time of recording, 2 days away from the deadline, which is mad. And stuff still can change, right? Stuff still can change between now and obviously then. We had the whole Gabriel Saliba drama last year, which we were even joking about earlier on the golf course. All sorts of things can happen, and
things will happen in these next 2 days. They will happen once managers start talking. We'll probably get our first pressers tomorrow.
Oh God.
Well, we're gonna get the Friday night presser, certainly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's all gonna start. This is where the fun begins. You look forward to this bit, don't you? The getting going.
I do. I just want to get moving. I just want to get the ball rolling. Once it's locked in, there's less that I can do. And even in the pre-season, I mean, we talked about Tinkers, and I've done like 5, maybe 6 different drafts over the period of the whole pre-season since the game launched. Like, and again, we see screenshots of people's photo albums with 50 or 60, and that's just from the last like 4 days or whatever they've done. And that's just not me. So I don't need all of that indecision. I don't mind messing around near the deadline. I don't mind that. That bit's fun as well.
Yeah.
Like if stuff changes by the deadline, that's fun for me. I guess I probably need to make it less fun, or at least be or at least be better prepared for it. But because of the way that I've played the game in the past, I mean, for me, just to go, oh no, he's out. Okay, cool. I can do X, Y, Z and just do it rather than actually, sense checking, making sure it's a reasonable plan and making sure it doesn't trap me out of stuff for future weeks. I mean, in the past, I've never really looked at that. And I'm being somewhere like Fest on Friday, I'm not going to get the chance to re-look at certain things. So I need to really have 2 or 3 different options.
I'm jealous of it though, because I mean, that's, we set up the whole of these. Well, some of the reasons we did this podcast was that we do things very, very differently. And even the way we do what we do in this is the reason why you put the pod together is because you're the do. So I'm the, let's have a think about this. And I hate it when it starts going. I love it when it's not moving and I'm going to see ranks and moving stuff around and thinking how things might change. I'm like, let's just stay in this moment. So I dread Friday coming along.
Mate, we'll have a couple of fireballs. We'll be fine. We will be fine. We'll be fine. So for everyone, if you are coming to Fantasy Football Fest, we will be there. I'll be there from sort of early afternoon, and Baker's going to join mid-afternoon, early evening type vibes.
Yeah.
We'll make it all the way to the end, I'm sure.
We will. And our boy Crypto Block Dan.
And Crypto Block Dan. So yeah, thanks again to Dan as always for supporting the podcast. Really appreciate it. And you can come and meet Dan on Friday as well. So yeah, shout out to you, Dan. Thank you very much. If you are watching on YouTube, please do drop a like on the video if you enjoy the content, and please do hit subscribe. We are close to 8,000 followers, 8,000 subs on YouTube. So, we
could get there with this video.
Let's get there before the deadline. That would be absolutely amazing. And if you are listening on Spotify, Apple, etc., I mean, drop a little 5-star rating, drop a review on there, and that would be absolutely fantastic. So let's move on to the fixtures because we don't have much time now. We have 10 hours less than we did earlier. So
We
we probably
do.
should start talking about the fixtures. And so what we're going to bring up now is we're going to bring up the wonderful graphic from Rob T. So Rob T's back, giving us the details from it's basically the betting odds. It's a compilation of like the betting odds and stuff from
Mm,
SpreadX. And what it's going to show is for anyone that's new, is the expected goals for conceded and percentage chance of clean sheet for each team. So
mm.
there's obviously a few clear ones in this week when you look at the teams that we are, targeting. That's quite obvious. So the teams with over 2 goals expected or 2 and above are Manchester United, who have 2.25, Arsenal 2.65, Newcastle 2.6, City have 2, Liverpool 2.55, and then Spurs 2.2. But Arsenal are clearing away the most likely, according to the odds, to keep a clean sheet at over 52% chance of a clean sheet, which is pretty bad.
Only team really likely to keep a clean sheet, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
It,
more, yeah, more than
it,
more
you
than more
know,
than 50%. Yeah, literally.
we like 40 percenters or above when we're looking at this. So for anyone new to these graphics, what we're looking at each week is all 40% teams. Realistically, all the other teams have got basically about two-thirds chance that they won't clean or worse. Is it's it is big. And I think this is one of those that I wrestled with actually since we chatted this morning about this fixture is straight in front of you. Um, Villa's a bad fixture for cleans, but they conceded 16 goals from set pieces last season. That's more than Tottenham. How much did we talk about Tottenham and set pieces last season?
Loads. And we've even spoken about set pieces and Arsenal's attacking threat pre-season with, or you did with Ted,
Mm.
with Ted Knutson. So
We've seen it. We've seen it. I saw a really good thread out earlier. I'll retweet that later, but just on the tactics they employed just in the Leon game, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, some of the stuff they did. They're still doing all the stuff of mess with the keepers. They're still doing all the things they do. They're still doing the weird runs.
they've
Like
just
it's
added height as well. I mean, Calafiori's come in basically a foot taller than Zinchenko, and they've just added
mm,
height across the board. I mean, I was talking to someone about this the other day. It's just how tall these guys are. I mean, Gabriel's big,
mm.
Saliba's big, Ben White's pretty big. Calafiori's big, Havertz big, Rice big. These are all tall guys, and
Yes.
it just makes things so difficult to mark the
Yeah,
right player.
multiple targets. Again, that part of that test, they have multiple. It is interesting that for people with two premium defenders, I think most people I've seen now have moved around to Vardy or Trent. Like there's hardly any drafts that are Saliba and Gabriel. But
Yeah,
we just saw them both. We just saw them both get on the on the score sheet and
yeah,
clean. Like imagine that you have that early on, and it is tempting. I think one of the things that's happened today with the Bob injury is he was gold for wildcard for.
yeah.
When
Because
I
you could
was
just
looking
put
at my
so much
team, I was
money in
like,
your thing.
yeah, yeah. One of the reasons I was really happy to take a risk on him was that I was quite open to wildcard four. There's some really clear things like Liverpool, Chelsea gets better, Villa get better, etc., etc. Um, and then these first three, you could really go heavy on Arsenal. Well, Bob out, all of it becomes a lot more expensive. Like it's
Yeah,
it's it's not as easy to do any of these things. Um, but yeah, I think it's hard to look at that and think that some people have got Saliba and Gabriel, and we had this drama last year of get who's the right one, and one didn't play. It could be the drama this week of get who do you get right because Saliba's 40% owned in the game.
yeah,
That's scary, isn't it? But from our BPS stuff, I'm I'm looking at Gabriel over Saliba. What about you?
yeah. I've Gabriel at the moment as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabriel. I mean, how difficult? I mean, we talk about defense. I mean, 2.65 expected goals this week. I mean, that's a pretty heavy attack, right? It's the best attack out there, and we're talking about double Arsenal defense.
So,
So
friend of the pod, Black Wolf, I saw his predicted 11 for Wolves. Have you seen
okay,
it?
no,
I'll read it to you because I'd rather for the YouTube people they get to see the reaction or hear the reaction of the team that he's put down in his predicted 11. His predicted 11. Centre back pairing is Totti Mosquera.
who?
Yeah. Uh, Eight Nuri left back.
Okay,
Not particularly good defensively.
no, but expected.
Thought we wouldn't say this on the pod again, but Matt Doherty, right
Yeah,
back. Lamina and Gomez, that's good, at
that's
least.
fine.
And then a front four of Gomez, Huang, Strand Larson, and Sarabia.
Yeah,
It feels open.
it feels
It
really
feels
open.
like they can't defend that.
And I actually said this earlier, funnily enough. You know, they've added no one and they've lost Neto and Kilman. They're just weirdly they could be one of the teams that there's always a team that you feel that might drop in amongst those promoted sides that might
Mm.
get involved in that relegation battle. I mean, the problem is Gary O'Neill's actually pretty good, right? So he's
New
he's
4 year
pretty he's
contract.
pretty
He's
good.
doing
So
a
he's
really
he's
good job.
yeah. So he's
But
going to do a good job with the team as good as he can. Can he do a good enough job with that squad of players? I don't know. I'm gonna say this is game week 1.
mm.
But having no Arsenal attack, it just feels like who is the centre back pairing again?
Totti, who played quite a bit of left
Yeah,
back
yeah.
when Annoy was out, and Mosquera,
I
who
do, yeah.
apparently has sort of played his way into the team in
Okay, well,
pre-season. He was there
good for
last
him.
year, though.
Good for him. But it's like, how do you not have key attackers
Yeah,
from Arsenal here? Like feels like good. It feels good for Havertz. Feels good for Saka. Feels good for Odegaard.
yeah,
So this fixture's good for about 6 players basically from Arsenal. If
yeah.
you include Raya as well, because obviously Raya's been around as an option for people as well in teams.
Yeah, I do think the fact that you can get Saliba for 500,000 more, I'd, I'd probably try and find it.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I'd probably try and find it. Just those set pieces and stuff. You still think on Raya it's still 6 points, don't you? You still think it's a six
Yeah,
point.
yeah. And yeah, yeah, it is. And to be honest, just because of the volume of shots, just because the volume of shots
Mm,
aren't there more than anything, I think with most keepers, you obviously you're trying to look for a combination of cleans plus saves. I think bonus for me, I think is pretty much mudded completely for
yeah.
keepers
But
outside
Addison
of
used to
support.
find a way. So sometimes some can, and I think the teams where you do have people that play around a lot at the back. Pope, I watched some of the preseason of Newcastle, and he's back. He's doing his ball playing, his little sweeping, so he gets his passes. So I do think Pope and Becker, Alisson Becker, are comfortably the standout.
I've still
Over
never seen
anybody
him
else
called
as well.
Becker.
Do you know what? Who did I watch it the other day? And someone called him Becker, and it's just slipped into my language. But I had the same thing. I was like, why did he just call him Becker? Someone did
I mean,
that. It
it's
must have
on
been
the
on a
app.
program somewhere. That yeah.
It's on the app.
But yeah, obviously subliminally got in there because I just said it myself. But yeah, I've probably
Um,
freaked out. A Becker, who are you?
yeah. So as let's move on to A Becker and company. Liverpool 2.55 here expected goals, 38% chance of a clean sheet. Feels okay for Trent. But obviously that's a lot of money and you are looking for attacking returns. I've had a thought about this over the day actually. Because I'm looking at Trent as is he going to be the guy that gets attacking returns? Possibly, but then I also look across that Liverpool front five, and this is again something we were talking about earlier, and I need to stop mentioning that. But they've got so many attacking threats, attacking options. There's so many players that can get points from Liverpool, right? There's so many. So whether it's
It's
Gakpo, whether it's
always the way.
Diaz and Salah, and it's Soboslai now, and Darwin's in there, Jota, obviously. So when does Trent get the points? Right? When does Trent get the points? This is it for me. And I know Jota scores from a set piece, but those don't often go to Jota. They're more likely to go to Van Dijk, and then
Yeah,
bonus goes away because Van Dijk gets the goal. Da, 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 da. I just don't know, and I'm wondering. I'm
it can be
tinkering.
anyone, doesn't it? It can be anyone. It can be anyone. But I do think like he's the best deliverer of the ball, really. And so do I think that Trent will always have the returns? No, because I think it's very. We just saw them score four and Salah wasn't involved like that. That is possible for any Liverpool asset.
Mm. Yeah.
And the problem bit with the attacking ones and potentially even Trent ones, if the game's not going as well as expected, they can just take you off. Like Bradley's right there. Now that might lock in you're clean for Trent, but nobody really wants to spend 7 million on Trent just to have a locked in clean.
No,
You're
no,
not
no.
really going to celebrate it if it walked away and it was 6 points and 6 points only.
Because you just get because people with Kwanzaa would just be there sitting there with 2.5 million extra money that they've spent on a
Yeah.
I don't know whoever
Mm,
KDB rather than an Eze, for example.
exactly. You're not going to be upset about it,
No,
but it's not something you want to see happen. I don't think anyone should try and make it that it's a good thing to happen. It is possible for any Liverpool attacker where we see rotation. And we don't even know, it might still be possible with Mo that we see that kind of rotation. We don't know.
yeah,
Um, but we do know, I think, I looked at 11 of 5's model and there he's got them expected over two for the first 5 games. And you're like, it's pretty good.
mm.
I'm not sure I want to completely ignore it. Um, if you get it right, it's great. It's not necessarily talismanic. And it's really interesting to look at someone like, for example, very similar prices, Jota, limited minutes, and anybody can score, but really highly functional. And then you look at Eze, he's on here, Palace are expected to score 1.4 goals, 22% chance of a clean. Most of us, most people have got Henderson and Eze in their team. Like, like realistically, it probably isn't going to work out potentially. But then you ask yourself, well, if they do score more than one goal, let's just say it does become 2 goals, chances of him having no returns out of 2 goals they score
Yeah, it feels fairly low.
feels fairly low. I looked again, I said 11 of 5's model, they have expected goals of like 8 in the first 5 games. So you're going to be looking into this 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 most games. It probably reaches 2 when they play Palace in game week, Leicester in game week 4.
Yeah.
But other than that, like it's going to be around the 1.5 most week.
So 16 available returns. If you think Eze's not going to get a chunk of that, yeah, he's going to
He's going to
be
get,
he's
he's
going to
going
have
to
his hands
tick.
on something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the good part is because there's not that many that will return, he has a good chance for bonus too
Yeah.
because he'll do enough stuff with it. So
True.
I get it on Eze. I get why people would look at him, say, over Jota. I also, Jota's fun.
Yeah, Jota's fun. And Jota's fun. And you say,
Could be
you know,
frustrating, but it
if
could be fun.
yeah, but if he scores, like his chances, his minutes just go up, right?
Mm,
In theory, if he's the guy scoring the goals, then Slot's going to want to keep that momentum going, and it's going to be up to the other players in the squad to well, Darwin basically to
yeah,
oust him somehow, and that'll be through cameos and training, right? I guess.
yeah,
But as you say, if Jota doesn't score, then he's replaceable, and that's the thing. Like Gakpo's there, he can
mm.
play 9. Darwin's there, obviously he can play 9. I
No,
don't know.
looking at these,
I'm
yeah,
I'm swerving the whole Liverpool attack for at the moment for not for the, well, I guess for this reason for the first 3 game weeks at least
mm,
because I want to see what it looks like. And I'm quite happy to miss out on those points while I'm picking up points elsewhere where people aren't. Right, so that's at least what I'm hoping will happen.
yeah. But it's not like you're, I mean, we're going to show teams in a sec. It's not like you're picking them from bad teams. You're still
Precisely.
picking good, and you're you're picking better minutes players than if you look at my team. They're a bit more flaky in some of the
Yeah.
minutes. When we look at some of the others for this week, Man United at 2.25 goals. It doesn't stand out for Muniz at 1.18. That doesn't stand out particularly well. Doesn't stand out to play. I've looked at Anthony Robinson and playing him, and I'm like, that doesn't look particularly great idea.
Yeah.
Um, does stand out for Bruno, especially if he could end up playing 9 again. that could easily happen. Um, I think there's some rumors maybe about Garnacho not being quite fit, but I'm sure that will come out tomorrow if not. Um, so that's interesting. Newcastle attack looks great.
I mean, Isak's the obvious pick. I think that's fair.
Mm,
Um, I still think the rest of the attack, is still a minutes question,
yeah.
definitely, because Gordon, sure, he came in. I misspoke in the last pod and said
Mm,
that he wasn't at preseason, but there he was. He'd scored a goal already before I'd even said that, and so he's there. He's whether he's ready, I don't know, but whether when it's Southampton, he could be rested, right? Or could be bled in
I think
later in the
limited
game.
minutes is probably a lot more likely than rested. I don't
That's
think there's
what I
anyone
meant.
that's
That's what I
yeah,
was
yeah,
getting to that point. When I
yeah.
just mean doesn't start is what I
But
meant.
he, oh, he'll start.
So,
He'll
well,
start.
okay, we'll
He'll
see.
start. We can take a big bet on that on Sunday if you wish, but I don't see a world in which he doesn't start. But does he need to play 90 minutes? Kind of depends on what happens Newcastle versus Southampton. If they go out and are 3-4 nil up, like they've got three wingers that are likely to play in this game in Murphy, Barnes, and Gordon. They're going to play some part in this game. The question is, does Murphy come off, Gordon go right, and Barnes stay on, or does Barnes just go straight on for Gordon?
Yeah,
I think that's that is the dicey part of any of this. But he had a half. Eddie House there's some good things about like this is the plan's now got to ramp up for this week. I'm gonna play something for 45 minutes and ramp up this week and go, oh, okay, now you're only gonna play 30 minutes. Like not when they haven't got the Europe to worry about, have
yeah,
they?
true.
Is I don't see the world in which he's not starting, but there is a world in which he comes off. Now, the most obvious world in which he comes off is they've already scored 3 goals. And the question is if he's already been involved in those 3 goals, then it's fine.
Yeah, of course. And he's great at home. He's great at home as well.
Yeah,
So that works.
yeah,
I suppose that all sort of leans in his favor. Okay.
yeah. But it's not. I don't think it's brilliant after that. I don't think it's like everyone's like opening threes great, and we'll say obviously Tottenham is
Bad
it's been
fixture for them.
fantastic for them, but I also say it's not like a great fixture, is it?
I don't hate it. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a good fixture for defenders across either side. I think it's a good
No,
fixture for attackers both ways.
yeah,
I think it's a
but
good fixture
but
for attackers both
there
ways.
is a world in which Tottenham go up there and beat them 2-0, and there is a world where they win 5-0.
Yes, those could both happen. Well, not at the
Those
same time,
all of
but
those
yes.
things can happen. I'm sort of looking at those ones and that fixture in Game Week 3 and thinking, I'll just play where I got, thinking it because I do think the variables are pretty big. Now that might mean that I walk away with very, very little, but
Yeah, fair
um,
enough.
or only one side of the dice do it. But yeah, I don't think Slam. And then the other 3 games in the first 5 are away.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Any other
Um,
notable ones here? We haven't mentioned Spurs yet, but I think we're both pretty comfortable with the Solanke Porro start for both of us.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's yeah,
yeah. I've
never
been
getting away from that.
No. The keys to listen tomorrow about if you get any kind of news around Richarlison because he's been around the squad for weeks. He went on tour, didn't play a minute, but we're told he's training, but didn't play a minute. He then comes back. Solanke doesn't sign in time or isn't ready in time to play the last friendly. He plays no minutes in that. Richarlison does not play.
It was also a couple of days before Destiny. He in the press conference he said that both Destiny and Richarlison were back in full training.
Mm.
So yeah, I guess it's like, is he around? Because he could that could limit, not limit, that could reduce Solanke's minutes, I guess.
He could do. We've heard that Richarlison almost doesn't want to go to Saudi,
Hmm.
but I think the club do want him to go to Saudi. And what would you do if you were the club that didn't want him, wanted him to go somewhere else, where you wouldn't play him in game week 1?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so yeah, it'd be very interesting to see if we get any words on Richarlison from Ange. That's what you're listening for. I'm assuming we will get a press conference on for Monday night on Friday.
Maybe. I guess so. I guess so. I mean, they're not doing anything else, these guys, are they? They should all
But
surely
but
we get them
even
all.
then, will you get a good press conference when it's Friday for a Monday game?
Probably not. And then we're not gonna get any embargoed stuff. I don't think for any of the deadline actually. Maybe only for the
No,
Man United versus Fulham game.
that's a good point.
So there's very limited stuff that we might get anyway.
Does anyone become a bigger pick from Man City? What I'm thinking of is Doku, Grealish,
Lots of chat about Bernardo.
Bernardo. Yeah,
Yeah, but I feel, I guess in the same breath, like Bob was always going to be a sort of a makeshift to make things work, and was always going to be an early transfer out at some point, right? He was, you said earlier, like this was a wild card for play. So come game
yeah.
week 4, he was not in the squad. So if you looking
Unless
at
he
the
wasn't, and that's the punt, isn't it? Because if he came in and scored in game week 1 and he scored in game week 2, well, he's still going to be an option in game week 3, and he's still going to be an option in game week 4. Like
yeah,
these things do happen. Like his players just hit the ground running and they just keep playing. Um, so he was only going to drop out and not be an option if he was not very good. Like, and now that position's open, and I think Doku and Grealish will probably be the opening wingers this weekend. Would you say? Move Doku on the right, Grealish on the left.
you don't think you'll
Probably
just
have.
start. You don't think you'll just start Bernardo on the right and then play Grealish on the left.
He could do. He could do.
But then I guess
And then
still because
Foden.
he's
Like, what does he do?
what
Foden and
does he do with Foden? I mean,
KDB and all the rest.
KDB obviously start, but we don't even know if Rodri's fit.
Yeah,
God,
it's quite.
it's just
It's
not,
still
and we're
quite
getting
hard.
nothing from Pep as well. We're getting nothing from him in the
Yeah,
presser.
yeah,
Aye, aye, aye. Um, okay, cool. So we've covered pretty much most of it. The only other, I guess, a little surprising thing here, just to note, is that West Ham have slightly better chance of scoring more goals than Villa, which was something a little bit surprising, and obviously like the home thing plays into it here, but I just definitely didn't expect to see that from that fixture, which was just interesting.
yeah. It's got sort of two all written all over it, isn't it? I mean, it looks again a good fixture for the attackers, but West Ham done good business. And while they're all fit,
This is
like the
true.
age profile was quite old, some of them, but um, while they're all fit, I think they're going to challenge a lot of teams. I don't think they have an easy fixture anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
I
fair
think
enough.
is it Palace that got West Ham in game week 2? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, at Selhurst
If,
Park.
if you think that Palace have had a fit season or a summer where the main stories of people leaving or potentially about to leave,
Yeah,
West Ham's summer is literally
all been
buy, buy,
incomings.
buy, 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 buy.
Yeah,
Like it's down on like fixture tickers as being a good fixture. I'm not sure it's a great fixture anymore.
fair enough. Then moving on to teams. Let's move on to teams. Let's get those done. And let's get out of here because people are going to want to see this. And the longer we talk, the less time there is until the deadline. So I know this will be probably Thursday morning when you listen to this or watch this. But yeah, not long to go now.
Yeah.
So let's get through some teams
Hold
and
on.
see where we are. Oh, hold on.
Penalties.
Go on. Talk to me about penalties.
You know I love penalties. You know I cannot do enough but talk about penalties. But Henry Winter released something today, and the one thing, it's a couple of things that we always look at in pre-season. One is like who were the refs that gave loads of penalties last season, and Andy Taylor is always the ref that gives all the penalties. Um, and then the second bit is there any of these like so refs go around all the clubs and give them like a briefing and say, hey, this is how it's going to work this season. And there hasn't been any news about it. And if we'd have gone with the pod we done this morning, we wouldn't have had the news. But some news came out this afternoon. This is important. Players told Premier League there were too many handballs last season. Players have now been advised by the Premier League that not every touch of a player's hand arm with the ball is an offence, and they are not expected to move with their arms behind their back or by their side. Henry Winter's words, like pogo in Penguins. We shouldn't see the weird run where people run at people with their hands behind their back.
Cool.
Hallelujah.
Good. Thank God for that.
But the fact that they've almost made that point out then immediately makes it harder to say everything else is unnatural because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
tried to claim almost running with their hands behind the back was natural.
Yes.
So let me just explain. Their words are the handball law is simplified. Now let me read this sentence. No handball if justifiable position or action, a clear change of trajectory when touched by or deflected from the same player, played by a teammate, or hits the supporting arm when a player fails, or proximity.
Simple.
I think the thing is you're going to see is it's going to become, yeah, more difficult to see that handballs are given because they also said or released a 6-point VAR improvement plan. And number one is maintain the high threshold for intervention, aim for minimum interference, maximum benefit. Referees call, like umpires call in cricket, will stand unless, in the opinion of the VAR, based on the evidence readily available, that call is a clear and obvious error.
So we're back there.
We're
We're,
back.
we're, we're gone full circle.
We're just basically saying there's no VAR.
Yeah. It does sound that like that.
What are they
Unless
actually
the
doing?
referees
If we're
unless the
going to do
referees actually not
semi-automated
see anything.
offside and then they don't get involved, what are they actually doing at Stockley Park?
I
Pizzas?
it's only well, the piece of memes coming back, but it's only I guess when the referee misses something in the sense
Yeah,
that they don't see it, right? And I guess that they're just trying to improve. I guess that's all we really want actually is we just want to improve the referee's
yeah.
field of vision. It's literally that. And so if the referee can turn around and say, if I saw it, then I would have given it, then that's where VAR should interfere and say, change the decision. I don't mind that. I'm quite happy. The high bar thing means I think we need to just stop just shouting for VAR when stuff happens. Like people are
Oh,
going to continue to shout for VAR, but you almost have to just stop shouting for it because it's
l-
pointless.
let me read point three.
Ugh.
Improve the fan experience. Referees to announce VAR decisions in stadia. Replays and messaging to be shown on big screens with clips or screenshot of incident.
But
It's
if they're
going
not
to
going to
go
get involved,
wild.
it's never going to happen, is it?
It's going to go, and then they've got their own Twitter account
Yeah.
at PL Match Center where they'll explain what they've done.
That's a one
They're
way
going to do
thing, isn't it?
nothing. They're going to do nothing. They're just basically not going to get involved, are they?
Just going to sit there and take a wage.
So they'll take a wage.
Yeah, perfect.
Beautiful. So on that note, how many penalty takers you got?
That is a great question. You didn't prep me for this question. How many penalty takers have I got? One, two, three, four, five, six, maybe seven, maybe six, maybe well, between five and seven, I would say.
Wow.
Maybe
Just looks
four and
like
seven. Maybe
I'm
four.
just
I've got some shaky ones in there, in truth. I've got some very shaky ones. So okay, let's move on to my team. So my team's coming up on screen now. And so let's just quickly run through those maybe penalty takers, maybe not, and you can tell me whether I'm being a bit hopeful. So, game week 1, maybe a penalty taker in Kunku. Gibbs
he
White,
may be.
Gibbs White, penalty taker.
We think so.
Odegaard, game week 1, maybe. I mean, it could be any
Maybe.
game week, maybe. Um,
Odegaard and Nkunku could easily be for part of the game, couldn't they?
yeah.
Whether that be the start or whether that be the end, they could be both of them penalty takers for part of that game.
Bruno Fernandez.
Is a penalty taker.
Okay, cool. João Pedro.
Is a penalty taker when he's on the pitch.
Yes. Erling Haaland.
Penalty taker.
Dominic Solanke. Mitchell.
Has taken,
Dominic
but
Solanke
probably
Mitchell.
so like I don't think he's taking penalties.
No. Okay, fair enough. So maybe I've got what,
But
4 nailed, maybe 7.
again, Solanke would take the penalty if Son was off the pitch.
Correct.
Son is getting older.
Mm. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like part of, bringing people in and is that we don't have to run Son into the ground that we've had to recently.
Yeah. And
So
Son's going to be important for Europa League games if we need to actually, bring on some cavalry, right? So we
yeah.
need minutes out of his legs. So yeah,
Oh yeah, we can't keep using him for 3,000 minutes every season. It's insane.
no,
Um, so he probably does have 10 to 15 minutes out of on the average game, Solanke. So
yeah,
between Nkunku, Odegaard, and Solanke, you probably do get a few extra penalties this season.
maybe. So let's read it out so that everyone knows what we're doing. So I've got Alison Becker, A Becker in goal. And then I've got Gabriel, Trent, and Porro. So pretty big, hefty at the back.
That's
Um,
big.
really, really big. And then midfield, Nkunku, Gibbs, White, Odegaard, and Bruno. Bruno has my captain's armband at the moment because it's fun, it's fest, and I'm going to be top 100 in the world on Friday night. And then,
Beautiful.
well, he's the only player, so I won't be. But and then João Pedro, Haaland, Solanke. And then 4.0 keeper, 4.0 defender, and then Robinson and Smith Rowe, basically. So those two guys are there really to cover game week 3. This has a sort of a wild card 6 in mind, but
Yeah.
given that I've got two Liverpool and two Arsenal, means I can dance around game weeks 4 and game week 6 if I need to, and I can extend that depending on how things are happening, right?
Mm.
Not just necessarily how they're playing, but also how others sort of fit in. So, we may find that when Palmer gets fully back into it, that Nkunku becomes a complete waste of space. We don't know. When Saka comes, well, I mean, we know what to get with the other ones, but
Mm.
Nkunku's the one really is the one I'm thinking. But the problem is there's no one at that price point and below that unless I can see what's happening with them, I'd want to pick them. So I'm immediately thinking like Morgan Rogers. I'm thinking Yankuba
Yeah.
Minter. Smith Rowe feels good because of the Ipswich game. I think it's a really good uh, game there. Obviously, preseason he comes in, he gets minutes straight away, he scores goals. It's like an immediate like I'm starting in the Premier League. This is how I'm gonna go. So by game week 3, like as far as I'm
Mm.
concerned, he'll be fully in and doing what he does. So it's a great fixture for him. The rest of those prices, I just want to see. And I
Yeah.
just hope someone sort of steps up and sticks out a little bit. That it just allows a bit more flexibility in the budget elsewhere. I'm not 100% on this. Again, we just had the discussion about the Liverpool defense, so that could change things in terms of like Trent's involvement. So could Kwanzaa cover Trent potentially? Because even if they are expected to have, I don't know how many it would be, maybe like 12, 13, 14 goals in the first
Mm.
5 games, it could, those returns get spread across Salah, Jota, Diaz, etc. How many of those comes to Trent? And if it's really the clean sheet, if I'm only covering the clean sheet and I maybe miss out on one return or two
Yeah.
returns, like the value of that 2.5 million extra into the rest of my squad could be worth more than 6 points.
Yeah.
But I need
I've
to
I've
value that.
I've played with Kwanzaa quite a bit. I've put him in. I've put him in and taken him out many times now.
Yeah.
I think, because I think he's exceptional value. But one is he takes a Liverpool spot, and you're already taking a Liverpool spot with Allison.
Yeah.
So if you take him, it's like, well, the only way I now do it is if I upgrade him to Trent. So it's a really weird one to use a transfer for. And if you end up wanting Trent in, then it gets odd. And if you did go him in, plus having Kwanzaa and Allison, then you aren't getting any attacking. And at some point, you're going to get that attacking.
Yeah. True.
Second point is that it's not like Kanate's not going to play at all. He's going to play some games. And it's not probably like Kanate's going to play his first game of the season in
Yeah.
Champions League.
Yeah.
I just go, oh, this is his first game. I think it might get rotated a little bit. And because there's some really, really good assets, I'm like, I don't want my fringes to be that risky. The 4.5s and the likes. I kind of want to go look at them and think I really like them, or I want to know they're going to play when I really want them to play. So like in game week 2, like this backline's great, but in game week 2, you've got obviously the situation where Robinson's got Leicester, which is a fantastic fixture.
Yeah.
But Kwanzaa's got Brentford, pretty good.
Yeah.
You'd still want Robinson in that situation. You still would. You know, I still think it's the I think we're going to come to mind as a pretty similar defense, but do I really want to bring Robinson in, say, for example, for Gabriel in game week 2 and get for Porro in game week 3? I'm not 100% convinced of that. I really am not. You know, I think when we look at it, it's they're elite players. That's why they cost so much money. They're
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. True.
But what you've got with Robinson is a really good option that even if something happened like an injury to any of your players, you're like, I could just play him any week.
Yeah.
That's why he's really good. Smith Rowe, by the way, there was a thing from on the Fulham website today where Marcus Hill has said he hasn't played games consistently, so it's going to be a process for him to be in his best physical condition. But we've already seen that he can make an impact. He can make a difference. 2 goals in 2 games is a good start. So in a way, I'll be like, I don't really like him for game week 1, but game week 2, hopefully, how long does it take? Do you know what I mean? And do
Yeah.
those pieces of it. But I guess that if you're not in the best physical condition and you're injury prone, there's still that risk that you could get injured again.
Yeah.
That's always the worry with it.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
we've got some similarities, but let's move on to your team. And yeah, just talk us through it for those listening on audio.
yeah. So I've currently got Henderson in goal. I've had Henderson in goal most of the season. I think one positive today sounded like on Gay. Sounds like they suddenly are just asking for astronomical bits of money. Um, I do think, again, the Bobb transfer feels to me like that could accelerate Eze to Man City. That's scary for me on an SA pick. Um, but and scary for me a bit on Palace pick. But
Yeah.
Henderson I still like out of 4.5, so he's in. Porro and Gabriel. Gabriel over Vardiol at the moment. Feel more comfortable on that. I also think like Grealish. Grealish minutes get a bit bumped today with the Bob out.
Yeah.
And the more games that Grealish plays, the kind of less I like Vardiol. So I'm a little bit more comfortable in that. I've currently got Hall in starting. I like his first 2 games. Realistically, I just want him this week. After that, I'm quite happy to play Robinson on my bench if I needed to, and I would, as I said, I don't have a lot of worries about not playing Porro and Gabriel in their worst fixtures, but like the player, like what I've seen, our friend TT did a really good thread about him, as he did about Gordon. So Gordon's come in for me today. He's been in and around my drafts, but I haven't been sure really on it. But I like Gordon more than I like Eze at the moment. So he's in with Saka, with Nkunku, and Diogo Jota as my other midfielder. And then my big 3 up front is Solanke, Isak, and Haaland. And yeah, bench. Anthony, Barco, and Winks. There's not a lot there.
So are you still looking at early wildcard?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so with that team. I'd be very surprised if that would be a game week 4 wild card. If it was, I'd probably try and dial it up a little bit on a few other players I want to check some fixtures. If I was game week 4 wild carding, I would probably look. I'd probably look at Saliba over Hall, and I'd probably look to try and get maybe Pope in goal. And it would be someone like Nkunku back down to Smith Rowe. I think it sounds mad, but I think Smith Rowe over the first 3 versus Nkunku is a very good bargain.
Yeah.
Quite happy to take that bet on.
Yeah. Because I mean, I say Chelsea are going to need Nkunku to start the first game, but then players coming back, second game, third
Anything
game,
can happen.
and then
Yeah,
anything happened.
or I'd be like you, and I like Gibbs White more than I like Nkunku for the opening
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. Well, then Forest's first 3 are better than most. to be honest.
Yeah.
If you're looking at short-term horizons, I mean, if you were still wildcarding in game week 4, like we just would you have picked the Forest 4-5 over Henderson if we just knew who it was?
I hate Matt Sales. I just think he's terrible. I just think he's terrible. That's
That's
the
fair.
problem. If the 4-5 was big 6-8 Miguel, despite the fact that I've never seen him, then I probably would.
Yeah, okay, fair
Um,
enough.
but yeah, I just can't. I just can't back him. What I might do if I was definitely wild carding game week 4 is go Ina over Hall. Um, so I like Williams better than I like Ina, but there's a few links with Williams away from the club, which and so I'd probably go Ina as an option. It's something still I'm considering as a 4.5. Um, albeit I look at it and say, right, in game week 1, I like Hall more than I like Ina. And then in game weeks 2 and 3, I like Robinson more than I like Ina. And then I'm like,
Yeah, what's the point?
what's the point?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
What's the point? Um, so yeah, Eze's on my mind. You know, Eze and Rogers could be Gordon and Winks. Um, but I'd probably need something really sort of concrete on Eze that it's going to be okay, that he's definitely staying. Some kind of commitment on that. Um, saying that, like Gordon's not nailed to stay either.
No, no. Does it worry you? Does it worry you that there's little? Are you using uh, two? I guess it's sort of two questions. Are you worried about not having enough, having any Villa as they sort of start that game week 3 set of fixtures? Are you using Isak as the make way to Watkins, for example? Is I guess what I'm kind of asking because
Uh,
I don't want to talk about game week 3, but the game week 1 team, like the game week 1 team, defines how you're going to approach these games, right? So it is important.
yeah, yeah. I don't think I have a Palmer or Watkins definite plan.
Yeah,
I'm still more focused on to Liverpool more than anything else.
fair enough.
Um, but my Watkins, there is a Watkins plan, which is that I can afford Haaland. I could afford to go Haaland to Watkins, gives you 5, 6 million,
6 million, yeah,
gives you 6 million quid, which gives me the money to move Gabriel or Porro up to Trent,
yeah.
and then gives me money to then look at either Saka, for example, to Salah. So that it could be an easy one: Gabriel, Saka, and and Haaland to Watkins, Trent, and Mo.
You could even get Gordon there, couldn't you?
Probably could.
Haaland down 6 million. 6 million on top of Gordon is 13 and a half. So you only need 12 and a half for Salah. And then
Could
Gabriel up to
is a million. There you
is a
go.
million. So you can just do those three, although you 2 weeks later you're gonna want Arsenal back.
That's all dependent on everyone stays at the same values and all those ones in it.
Well, of
But
course, yeah, exactly.
you're
Yeah, that's
hoping that your players have done well enough that they haven't dropped in value and have done
yes.
better than the ones that you didn't pick. So therefore they've not gained in value. Um, but yeah, it would enable, Gordon or Jota potentially to Salah. So if for example, Jota's not the pick and Salah's the pick, then I've got that way out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think realistically, the only way in my team that I get to Watkins is through Haaland because Solanke and Isak's so expensive.
Yeah, fair enough.
The other things you can do obviously is like Isak to João Pedro, and then that enables Saka to Salah. That's there, even that move. Isak to João Pedro, Saka to Salah, and then still some money around to play with. So there's definitely options in which you can move stuff. Um, but also if you've got the transfer saved up, you might just say I'm going to wildcard it and then keep my transfers.
Yeah. Yeah. God. Yeah, God. Oh, it,
Yeah, it's
it's
really
it's
hard to
mad.
work out how that's actually physically going to play out in your head, isn't it? The transfer still.
Yeah, just wondering whether yeah, and whether we should be building these transfers up early and just trying to basically keep afloat, basically, for problems, or whether it's a case of maybe the better move might be to just use a couple of transfers here and there and just to, you know, keep it ticking over, improving as things change, as new information comes in. I guess we will find that out. How set are you on your team? Because I think I'm probably about I'd probably say like 85%. So I'm not 100% there yet. And changes will be made on Friday. Maybe.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I suspect there's 2 to 3 positions. The two other Newcastle players in Gordon and Hall, um, and probably then whether it means I could get Winks to Rogers if I went up to it and then have a better eighth attacker.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like everything pretty much apart from Nkunku, to be honest.
It's weird, isn't it? It's like the
It's the
teams,
fixture as well.
yeah, the opening fixture is not great,
It's
and
because
none
it
of the
says Man
fixtures are
City on the screen.
fantastic. Is it? Like,
Literally,
I
the Man
don't.
City on the screen just goes in my head. I'm just like, should I be doing this? Surely there's a better option than this.
But it's a 38 game week season, mate. You
Yeah,
can't
I
have
know.
every fixture
I know.
perfect.
I know.
Um, but we can try. Um, I just think Nkunku is incredible value for money and looks fantastic. Everything we've seen of him. There's been nothing I've seen from him from pre-season that makes me particularly worried about minutes. As in, and when I mean minutes, I mean his injury minutes more than anything else.
Yeah.
Is whether there's a minutes risk because they've got 17,000 players. Well, that's different. But I still look at the all of their squad and think he's their best one,
Yeah.
really. Obviously, Palmer is Palmer. We still haven't really worked out where Palmer's going to be in this position, have we? Like, where is he going to be on the pitch?
Yeah, because he plays off the right, but that's
Like a right
kind of
10.
yeah. But that's almost where you might even expect Nkunku to sit in that.
Think maybe more towards the left 10, or does he go 9? But they're talking about Nico. They're giving contracts. So Cole Palmer's just signed a new contract. Now Nico Jackson, they're going straight for a new contract. Why would they go? Why are they trying to sign 12 forwards, right? And also still give Nico a brand new contract by only signing last summer.
I have no
None of it
idea.
makes any sense.
No, no, no. This is gonna unravel in a big it's gonna unravel at some point in the next couple of years, and it's just gonna be absolute chaos.
It will
And
unless it doesn't. Because like it's almost so chaotic that you start to think to yourself, are they the future?
yeah, they actually just worked out how to play the game going forward.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because like
it's
Palmer's contract is like until 2033. It's a
just,
9 year contract. Like he's now set until until he's 28.
and this is the team that originally did this. Do you remember they did the Winston Bogart? We're old enough to
Yeah.
remember they signed Winston Bogart and he played like 4 games and then sat on like 70 grand a week for 5 6 years.
Yeah.
Never learned.
Oh yeah, yeah. New stewardship. Same issues.
Same madness.
Same issues. Cool. Right. So as we've said, we will be at Fantasy Football Fest on Friday. Hopefully you can come and join us. If you do, come and say hello. And yeah, we'll be happy to have a chat, have a drink, whatever. And
How many coasters are you taking to Fest?
500. I need you to order some more coasters, by the way.
Sorry, let me just clarify that. How many coasters are we taking to
Like
Fest?
500. I got a box. I got a box. I'm just gonna stick them on the
500.
bar.
I heard a radio advert update that said there's 400 people there,
Yeah, it's one each.
at least one each.
Yeah, yeah. So people can use them. They can steal them. They can do whatever they like. Um, yeah, I have saved a few for when I get back so that we can give some away. So if you aren't at Fest, don't worry. There's still going to be some more. And then in about a week's time, I'm going to send Baker a message saying, Baker, can you just order some more coasters,
Or
please?
small coasters.
Yeah. And then we'll have more. And then we'll have more.
It's amazing.
I
Are we
love
going to
it.
do a Are we going to do a coaster flip competition? Do you
Oh,
remember we did
mate.
that at home? We've got to do that again.
Oh, don't. God.
Flip the beer mats.
Oh, my word. We will, yeah, maybe we can do something like that. Maybe we can do something like that.
We'll
But
do
if
some
you
stuff.
haven't done so already, drop a like on a video. We're almost at 8,000 subs. Hit subscribe. And thank you for your support during preseason. It's almost here, game week 1. Good luck.
Good
Good
luck.
luck.